I walked into the office kitchen and saw my medical records pinned to the communal bulletin board right next to the schedule for the company picnic. It wasn't the whole file, just the page detailing my recent diagnosis and the specific medications I had been prescribed for my chronic condition. Someone had circled the names of the drugs in red ink and written a note at the bottom, wondering if I was actually fit to be handling client accounts while under the influence of such heavy treatment. I stood there staring at the paper, the world feeling like it was spinning on its axis, while my coworkers drifted in and out, pretending they hadn't already read every word. I had only shared that information with the HR manager, Linda, because I needed to request a minor accommodation for my physical therapy appointments. She had promised me that the details would stay in a locked cabinet and would only be seen by the legal department if necessary. Now my most private vulnerability was being used as a piece of office gossip, a weapon to undermine my authority and make me an object of pity or suspicion. I could feel the eyes of the receptionist on my back, and I knew that by the end of the day, every person in the building would know things about my body that even my own parents didn't know. I ripped the paper off the board, my fingers tearing the corner where it had been stapled, and marched straight to Linda's office. She didn't even have the grace to look surprised when I slammed the document down on her desk. "How did this get on the bulletin board?" I demanded, my voice shaking with a combination of rage and humiliation. Linda looked at the paper and then back at me, a defensive sneer forming on her lips. "I'm sure I don't know," she said, "but people are concerned, Mark. You've been distracted lately, and maybe it's better that everyone knows why so they can support you." The idea that she had leaked my private health information as a form of support was so delusional that I couldn't even respond at first. "You violated federal law," I finally said, "and you did it because you've been trying to find a way to push me out of this department for months." I knew then that she hadn't just left the file out by accident. She had deliberately shared it with her close friends in the office to create a narrative that I was a liability. I watched her eyes flicker with a momentary fear, the realization that I wasn't going to just crawl into a hole and disappear finally hitting her. I didn't wait for her to apologize or offer a hollow excuse. I walked out of her office and went straight to my desk, but I didn't start working. I called a lawyer I knew and spent the next hour documenting every person who had seen the paper and every comment that had been made to me that morning. The office was quiet, a heavy expectant silence that made my skin crawl, but I refused to give them the satisfaction of seeing me cry. I realized that my privacy was a bell that couldn't be unrung, but I could certainly make sure that the person who rang it paid the price. I filed a formal complaint with the State Labor Board and a civil lawsuit against the company for the breach of confidentiality. Linda was placed on administrative leave within 48 hours, and the company was forced to undergo a massive internal audit of their HR practices. I didn't stay to see the end of it. I quit a week later, taking a job at a firm that valued its employees as humans rather than just data points. Sometimes I still get a cold shiver when I see a bulletin board in a public place, but I've learned that the only way to protect your dignity is to fight for it, even when you feel like the whole world is watching you bleed.